Ebusuafo mamunya makwaba eba Ghana Politics Avenue. Ahana all the trending political stories in Ghana unsa ebitimi akan. Nene asime edibrem enche bia na Tamale High Court. Elda say Kpandai parliamentary election na year in 2024 no were declared void. Into EC sanhye abato ofoforo ema parliamentary candidate na omugina 2024 no. Na we na baaye edi wantwi ni ntokwa ba Parliament House ma dom kuma omuwo yemranhye bi de face omo mpene dom dodo no so omo mpene ne koye wuntwe na enche bia na kasajitwe ku amanfo che omadwu Facebook na lawyer for mpanimfo bi eche na adwen na we na enche bia na electoral commission ede krata ba bonten se enche omugu ahomboa so ombehihye abato no foforo ewo Kpandai na busumi ya ewume eye December busumi ya ewume ya de toso aduasa ena Kpandai parliamentary abato no ebeba so entina afa na omugina 2024 election na omo na omusamra na yemeto abane foforo na we na baaye no adwentwe bebrebe abufuo ni kasatwitwe ni nsem bebrebe aba yenkonyenkoji nchirimu ye ba de to aso bia no ye de bema mu moma yenkohwe video no emra.
Your time here on Join Us Prime. The Electoral Commission has announced the rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election after the Tamale High Court ordered a repeat within 30 days. The court ruling came on 24th November 2025, and the Clerk of Parliament notified the Commission on the 9th December 2025 that the seat was vacant. The EC will hold a rerun on 30th December 2025, limited to the 3 candidates who contested the 2024 election. Now, the notice was issued in a press release by the Deputy Director of the Electoral Commission's Research, Monitoring and Evaluation Department, Fred Tete. Well, here are details of that statement on your screen, and it reads: the Electoral Commission wishes to inform the general public that following the Tamale High Court's ruling on Monday, 24th November 2025, ordering a rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election within 30 days and upon receipt of a letter from the Clerk to Parliament on Tuesday, 9th December 2025, formally notifying the Commission of the occurrence of a vacancy in the membership of Parliament, the seat of the constituency in Parliament has become vacant. The Electoral Commission will hold a rerun of the parliamentary election in the Kpandai constituency on Tuesday, 30th December 2025. The rerun of the Kpandai constituency parliamentary election will be conducted for only the 3 candidates who contested the 2024 parliamentary election in the said constituency.
Well, earlier, lawyers for NDC's Kpandai candidate Daniel Nsala Wakpal filed a contempt application at the Tamale High Court against the Electoral Commission for actually failing to organize the rerun after being served with a court ruling. The MP's lawyers argue that the EC's inaction is contemptuous, interfering with the administration of justice. Join us on Zoom now is the NDC candidate's legal team member, Eugene Awiti. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. I'm sure you've seen this letter from the Electoral Commission. What's your reaction to that? Well, Eugene, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly. Let me just get a reaction now from the Minority Legal Counsel in Parliament. John Darko joins us live here on Joy News Prime. John Darko, I'm sure you've seen this letter from the Electoral Commission. What's the initial reaction of the minority in Parliament?
Well, I mean, I just heard about it, and I also saw it on your screen right now. We will look at it and advise our thoughts, but I believe that the Electoral Commission is wrong, and this letter telling us that they're going to have election obviously comes from the letter written to them by the Clerk to Parliament. The Clerk to Parliament, we believe, was completely wrong, and that he didn't have the power to declare the seat vacant because the processes are still ongoing. The judgment that formed the basis of that letter is under appeal. You understand? That High Court judgment is under appeal. Again, we are also in the Supreme Court trying to set aside the whole process. And so the question as to whether or not there's a vacancy is a question which hasn't been settled yet. So on what basis does the clerk to Parliament write to the Electoral Commission? And again, on what basis is the Electoral Commission organizing an election for a seat which has not become vacant properly, so-called, because that decision is being challenged?
Yesterday, we heard from the majority leader quote portions of the Constitution, specifically CI 132. And it states, and I'm quoting portions of it, an appeal shall not operate as a stay of execution under the judgment or decision appealed against unless the court otherwise orders an application made to the court by motion or notice. Based on this, your argument is actually off the table, is it not?
No, not at all. Look, the point we're making is that the whole judgment is under appeal. Okay? Now, we need to be very careful as a country, because what is going to be the effect of the judgment if it goes in favor of the NPP's candidate? Okay? If this election is held on the 30th, as they are saying. If the election is held on the 30th, and then a week or two later, the judgment comes and says that the High Court judgment got it wrong, and that judgment should be overturned, then what happens? So I'm saying that from the appeal processes, the question as to whether there is vacancy for to organize election, okay, it's not settled. That question is not settled because of the appeal processes. Because why can't we finish the appeal, and then after that, then it will be certain that, okay, a vacancy has occurred. Because right now, I believe that by reason the appeal, we don't mean talking about the investigation here, by reason of the appeal, the stay, okay, by reason of the, you take the stay out, there is no vacancy for the, as it were, the clerk to Parliament to write to the Electoral Commission that there is a vacancy, for which basis the Electoral Commission will write to say that it's going to organize another election. There is no vacancy, because that court's decision, okay, to ask him to vacate his seat is being challenged. It's being challenged. It means that there's no certainty. And that's the point. And I believe that if we're going to spend a lot of money and resources, and sometimes, and I'm saying sometimes, because of the nature of this, even risk life, to go and conduct an election, which is likely to be set aside by a court, then there's no point, there's no reason for us to run.
Okay. Thank you so much, John Darko. He is Minority Counsel. Let me bring in Eugene Awiti. He is a member of the legal team for the NDC candidate for Kpandai. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. I'm sure you've seen this letter from the Electoral Commission. You earlier filed an application at the Tamale High Court seeking the court to file an application citing the EC for contempt. What's your initial reaction to this letter from the Electoral Commission? Mr. Eugene, you will have to position rightly. I think there's a network challenge, and so we do not have clear connection to you. Let's try one more time. I want to start with your reaction.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
Thank you for having me. If I heard you correctly, you wanted to know, can you repeat the question again?
I wanted to know your reaction to the EC's publication. You filed an application at Tamale High Court. You wanted the EC to be cited for contempt for ignoring the orders of the court. Now that the EC has acted, what is your next line of action?
Okay, so good evening once again, and thank you for having me. And good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers. So like I said earlier, it is progress, but that is just a publication of intent. We have filed an application before the court, basically alleging that the Electoral Commission is in contempt of the orders of the High Court. That application will be held on the 23rd of December, 2025. So until the Electoral Commission can show that they have complied with the orders of the court, they are in breach of the orders of the court. Now, this is, like I said, an application and a publication of intent. It remains to be seen whether on the 30th they will actually organize a rerun or otherwise. They will have to now appear in court, file an affidavit in opposition, and show cause why they should not be cited contempt.
So you're not withdrawing your case?
We are not withdrawing our case because we've not seen any concrete activities on the ground. We've just had a publication indicating that the elections will be organized on the 30th of December. I mean, it is progress, and let's not say that it isn't its progress. But the orders of the court are for the rerun of the elections to be held at a certain time, within a certain period. So until such orders are carried out, any activity in variance or at odds or that runs counter to the orders of the court is basically a non-compliance of the order.
Thank you so much for your time, Eugene, here on Join Us Right.
Thank you.
Let's not take you to Parliament because the minority are backed down on the threat to disrupt parliamentary business over declaration of the Kpandai seat vacant. An angry minority on the floor of Parliament on Tuesday launched a day-long protest against the clerk to the House decision to write to the Electoral Commission notifying the EC of vacancy and urging the EC on to conduct elections in the Kpandai constituency in accordance with Article 112 of the Constitution. Now, the MPs took to the noisy chant and table banging as means to voice their displeasure, a situation which degenerated into an open brawl between members of both sides. But on Wednesday, despite addressing journalists to reiterate their demand, the NPP MPs showed up on the floor and fully cooperated with all government businesses. There's more in the following report.
The minority in Parliament appeared to have backtracked on that decision to obstruct government business and obstruct proceedings on the floor until the clerk to Parliament withdraws that letter that went to the Electoral Commission informing the EC that the Kpandai seat had become vacant. Our audience may well remember the very chaotic scenes on the floor of Parliament on Tuesday when the minority vowed that government business was not going to proceed until the Electoral Commission, that letter that had gone to the EC from Parliament, was withdrawn. This morning, we expected that certain scenes of that nature will be recorded on the floor of Parliament. The minority did hold a news conference at which they reiterated this demand for Parliament to withdraw that letter from the Electoral Commission.
We defer any action until the appellate process is conclusively complete, respecting the precedent set across decades. And number three, we need to recognize that this premature notification violates the separation of powers, disrespects the judiciary, unjustly disenfranchises the people of Kpandai, and betrays Parliament's own tradition of constitutional caution.
They cited a host of instances where they say members of Parliament seats were not declared vacant despite the pendency of several running legal suits.
In the case of Samuel Nyemekan of Wellensi, after the High Court voided his election, he filed an appeal. What did this House do? It continued to recognize him as a sitting MP throughout the entire appeal process. The seat was only declared vacant after the Court of Appeal delivered its final judgment. In the case of Eric Amwating of Nkranza South, detained abroad on serious charges, this House resisted calls to declare his seat vacant while his legal status was unresolved. Vacancy occurred only upon his own properly executed resignation. In the case of Danawodapi of Keta, convicted and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, this House did not treat the conviction as an automatic trigger.
Well, despite all these concerns, the minority still showed up on the floor. They did sitting throughout, assisting the government side transact numerous government business and going ahead to deal with bills, lay new bills, and a host of other transactions, all with several minority MPs still on the floor. In the coming days, we'll get to see whether or not the minority will devise new plans and new strategies to press home that demand that the Kpandai seat has not become vacant and the Electoral Commission should not conduct a by-election. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
While still in Parliament, following chaotic scenes yesterday where some ministers exchanged heated words over the Kpandai seat vacancy declaration, many Ghanaians say they are disappointed and embarrassed by the conduct of leaders they expect to uphold dignity and decorum.
In fact, I feel embarrassed and I feel ashamed that people we describe as honorable members are the ones engaged in this kind of activities. In fact, each and every one of us are qualified to be in Parliament, but we have given our mandate to these elected individuals to represent us, make laws in the interest of the citizens and the nation. And the motive behind voting for them are not what they go there to display to be true. They have better ways to communicate it or get it resolved rather than the kind of behavior they portray in Parliament yesterday. In fact, yesterday I felt ashamed being a Ghanaian.
These are leaders that we look up to, so that we, the young ones, come in, we'll be able to, hold the mantle. And when we see them in this manner, it's down of them to be showing this kind of attitude. The speaker is being too polite with them. He has to stand on his feet, and they have to know what kind of speaker he is, so that whenever that anything comes into their mind, they will think about the speaker before taking any action. But when they see that the speaker is the kind that they can do away with, or they can do it and nothing will come out of, they will continue this way.
This is not the first time we've seen our leaders engaged in fights. We voted for you to make laws for us in Parliament, not to exchange blows. When you behave this way, it feels like you are tearing down the very country you are meant to build. Ghana is bigger than any political party, and if this continues, we don't deserve to be in Parliament at all.
Parliament, police motor na mi ameti so police motor be di me yesa mu sisi en wo man mu ti esramo yempento kwa
party be kono mangana wo ho eti yesrom omumbra fom kra na ne omuye no munyai no mumma adwuma wo se
political parties came to meet Ghana and they will leave while the country remains, so our leaders must exercise patience and allow the real work of nation building to continue. It's completely unnecessary for a minister I voted for to make laws on my behalf to be fighting in Parliament. If you as a leader can behave this way, what moral authority would you have to correct me if you saw me fighting in town?
It's not fair.
Well, government has withdrawn the controversial lithium mining deal with Barari DV from the consideration of Parliament ahead of changing the laws relating to royalties. Now, under the current deal, which has since been withdrawn, the state would have been entitled to just about 5% royalties, which was severely criticized by the public. Deputy Minister for Land and Natural Resources, Yusuf Suleiman, explained that the deal was being withdrawn for further consultations.
Mr. Speaker, the reason for the withdrawal of this agreement is to enable the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to undertake further consultations with very relevant stakeholders prior to representing it to this very important House. Mr. Speaker, listening to my colleagues from the other side, they have made my work very easy. They have given reasons why there's a need for us to withdraw this agreement. He's saying that he's listened to very prominent people. He's listened to so many NGOs and civil society organizations, and they are all calling on us to do further works on this very important agreement.
Well, NPP MP for Kaikwe Central Patrick Bawumia criticized government for rushing to put the deal before Parliament despite long-standing concerns.
You've gone around to listen to experts in the industry. What did you do in the first place? You You didn't consult anybody. You came here and we told you that you brought a wrong agreement that was not in the best interest of Ghana. And you said you had the numbers. So you pass it. We had our say. And you wanted your way. And you are back here to withdraw. Sule, why would you go with it if it's in the best interest of the country? We told you so.
But Majority Leader Mahama shot back, insisting the withdrawal will rather ensure that the country gets a better deal when it is subsequently returned to the House.
Why are we withdrawing this agreement? We are withdrawing this agreement because there is a proposal coming back to this House for us to review generally the royalties for our natural resources. For instance, as we speak, gold prices have soared, they are very high, but we are still collecting very low rates of royalties. So the proposal is to change and structure our entire royalties regime to be pegged to world market prices of the minerals.
Well, it is subsequently returned to Parliament, but this evening a full diplomatic storm has erupted between Ghana and Israel after government of Ghana unleashed a swift and uncompromising retaliation to what it says was the humiliating and inhumane treatment of Ghanaian nationals, including 4 members of parliamentary delegation attending an international cyber security conference in Tel Aviv at Israel's Ben Gurion International Airport. In a forceful statement issued today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs noted that Ghana has deported 3 Israelis who arrived in the country earlier in the day, a deliberate and symbolic response mirroring Israel's unjustified deportation of 3 Ghanaians. Let's bring you details of that statement, and it reads, following the ill treatment and unjustified deportation of 3 Ghanaian nationals by Israeli authorities, the government of Ghana has been compelled to retaliate by deporting 3 Israelis who arrived in Ghana earlier today. The charge d'affaires at interim of the Embassy of the State of Israel was promptly summoned to the ministry.
Ghana Politics Avenue open all the trending political stories in Ghana. Eya na onsa ebe kanu. Na enene dedi kan obacha na use ebe subscribe to channel. Now I like video you know share. Now face notification bell na ono don za bosu. Say ebe video fufuru bia ba onsa betimi aka. Na story e de bremu se be di akiri. De ebe bia no e de bebremu. Na musumanya bi ahwe. Na mahu de ekoso Ghana ya monu semu. Na musumati da bo mumbra. Ya damu nyina masese majibre etie ye. Ya kra mu nyina ya damas.